There you come. Drea, go for it.
Welcome to the 2021 Cortelyou Heritage Society Luncheon. Welcome, my name is Andrea Clark and I'm the Development Associate in the Athletics here at DePaul. I'm so happy so many of you are able to join us this afternoon. Before we get started, I'm going to quickly review some Zoom procedures and housekeeping notes for the event. First, I wanted to note that the video and audio for all participants has been turned off to ensure we have the best possible audio and video quality for our speakers today. I'd also like to note that live captioning will be enabled for this event. You are able to turn these captions on and off and adjust things like the size of the text and other settings by navigating to the transcription button at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to submit them via the Q&A feature, which can be found at the bottom of your screen. We'll be saving time toward the end for questions from the audience. Finally, this event will be recorded and will be available within the next 2 weeks. If you're interested in receiving a copy of the recording, you can always email us at alumnievents@depaul.edu. Now I'm excited to introduce today's host, Rich Goode. Rich Goode is Executive Director for Planned and Regional Giving at DePaul University. Prior to DePaul, Rich was AVP Planned Giving at the Lurie Children's Foundation and Director of Planned Giving at the Archdiocese of Chicago. Rich graduated cum laude from Notre Dame Law School in 1993. He served as president of the Chicago Council on Planned Giving from 2005 to 2007. Today's host, Rich Goode.
Thanks so much, Drea. Welcome everybody to the 2021 Cortelyou Heritage Society virtual luncheon. Most of you who are with us today are members of the Cortelyou Heritage Society, which means you have included the university in your estate plan. Thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for that wonderful and generous act. But many of you have not yet taken that step. We are so glad to have you here and so grateful for your generosity. As Andrea said, my name is Rich Goode, and it's just my privilege to be working with you for the mission of this great university. I also want to introduce my partner and colleague, Mary Lyons Anderson, an alumna of DePaul College of Law, who joined our team 2 years ago after a long and very productive stint at Northwestern University. We are so lucky to have Mary and her years of experience here at DePaul. I also feel fortunate to work here with so many wonderful deans at DePaul, many of whom are with us today. Thank you so much for coming, Dean Stephanie Dance Barnes of the College of Science and Health, Dean Tom Donnelly of the Driehaus College of Business, Dean David Miller of the College of Computing and Digital Media, Dean Tatum Thomas of the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, Dean Guillermo Vasquez de Velasco of the College of Liberal Arts and Social Sciences, Dean Paul Zients of the College of Education, and last and far from least, Dean Jennifer Rosato Perea is joining us by phone while on vacation. Thank you all for joining us and for your dedication to excellence in service of DePaul students. It's a great privilege for me to witness your good work every day. Thank you all. Speaking of leaders here at DePaul, it is a great privilege to introduce DeWayne Peevy, one of our newest campus leaders. DeWayne was named DePaul's athletic director in August of 2020. He has been an admired and respected leader in college athletics for a long time, including a 12-year stint at the University of Kentucky, the last 7 of which he served as deputy director of athletics there. DeWayne brings to DePaul extensive experience in all areas of college athletics, with a special focus on men's basketball. While at Kentucky, DeWayne assumed leadership roles in many important areas, including fundraising, strategic planning, media relations. DeWayne served as liaison to the Southeast Conference and the Southeast Conference Network offices. He supervised the Chief Financial Officer, Chief Revenue Office, and Executive Associate Directors for internal and external operations. And he also supervised the men's basketball program, the most successful men's basketball program in Division I history. So it's my great privilege to introduce DePaul's new athletic director, DeWayne Peevy. DeWayne, on behalf of the Cortelyou Heritage Society, welcome to DePaul. It's so great to have you here. I shared a little brief highlights of your background, but can you tell us a little bit more about your journey to become DePaul's athletic director?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm excited about the opportunity to meet some new DePaul Blue Demons that share the passion for the university that I've joined just short of 10 months ago. But, Rich, thank you for the introduction. But you're right. I think, my path to DePaul is an interesting one. I wouldn't call it a yellow brick road that would be easier to follow. But I'm a Birmingham, Alabama native. Like you said, I worked at the Southeastern Conference, which is in Birmingham. And, almost 13 years ago, took a trek to the University of Kentucky. And I had a very big communications background, but allowed me to get into administration and work my pathway to becoming an athletics director. And no better place to start and finish my career than DePaul University. But I'm excited. I mean, if you get a chance to meet me, in which I'm hope to, a lot of you will soon, as we're around supporting our university in the best and brightest of ways. What you'll find out is that, you'll hear a lot about dreaming big, but that's really who I am. And the reason that I saw DePaul University as a great step for me and my family was the opportunity to dream big, to think about the things that we can do as a university to really impact our city, our state, our region, and nationally. And with a group of deans that I've come to getting to know virtually, and I'm starting to get down the list. So if you haven't had a one-on-one with me in person, I'll be on your schedule soon. I'm learning even more about our university, and it's getting me even more excited about the role that athletics can play in helping us show off this great university here in the Loop and in Lincoln Park. And so I'm excited about our future here. This has been a great pathway. And I can't wait to totally bust out of this pandemic in the greatest way.
Well, we're excited to be a part of it with you, DeWayne. Cortelyou Heritage Society, as its name implies, celebrates heritage and honors those who leave a legacy to DePaul through a gift in their estate plan. Can you share a little bit about the importance to you of DePaul's legacy and its history? And also, do you have a favorite DePaul moment in its history that you could tell us about?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think one of the things, as you said earlier, Rich, my background in the 20 years prior to DePaul was really focused on men's basketball. And although I was a college baseball player and I grew up in the football capital of the South in Birmingham, Alabama, basketball kind of led, where I was in my career. And the first time I ever heard about DePaul was because of his basketball team. So even in Birmingham, Alabama, the first college basketball game I remember watching on TV was DePaul. I had WGN just like everybody else. And it was funny, and we'll talk about our special guest later on, is that I actually watched a game on YouTube the other day of watching DePaul versus LSU when DePaul was #1, and just going back and seeing that excitement and, some of the things that I've missed, kind of growing up away from it. But I think that's the one thing, I was at Kentucky, as you mentioned before, having an opportunity to really compete for a national championship every year, being the winningest program in the country. I didn't need to leave. And so for me to leave and take a step forward for where I wanted to go, DePaul checked every box for me, for my family, but also from a career standpoint of looking at something that had that history. And I think that's a great segue into what we're talking about today. The steps you make historically, whether you look into your past and learn from it. We're not trying to teach our fans and our alums and supporters or our students something that they've never experienced or never heard of for DePaul. But also when we think about our future, with the giving, and especially in the state giving, you're thinking about what it means in the future as well. And so laying the groundwork to get back to those days, to get back to the Final Fours, and to win our first national championship. That's the goals that I'm setting for all 15 sports, not just men's basketball, but the legacy that we have in our basketball program is an important one that led me here, that I think will be an important role of others to follow as far as prospective student athletes, that we're trying to get into this program to let them understand that our legacy is something that we're going to embrace more. And I think that's some of the things that we can bring back. You know, we're looking for, we got 125th anniversary of our school coming up a couple of years. We got 100-year of basketball at DePaul right around the corner too. And so how do we embrace our past and for people really fear our future is what the groundwork that I'm trying to lay in our program right now. You know, I talk about a lot of times that we had the eyeballs of the nation on us. You know, we were when I was watching that game on YouTube, we were number one in the country. And when you think about that, everybody knew about it. And what I found out in my 10 months here is I've gone through town, I wear my DePaul gear just to bring about questions. I think I've told every Uber Lyft driver in Chicago that I'm the new athletics director at DePaul, and just spur on conversation. I just think we have a lot of people in this community that are really searching for this to be Chicago's university in full again. DePaul can be an everything school, you know, where we look at every college, athletics, we're all can be great. And we have these things in place because we know we can excel at it. What I feel like is from the sports side of it, people have just turned off the DePaul channel because they're disappointed in how we performed, and especially in men's basketball. But what I want to do is be that caveat to help them resubscribe to that. And every one of us on this campus can benefit from those new eyeballs that are refocused on our successes. Be that true front porch. Let athletics lead the way for people to check out our whole house. And I think that's the thing that I was able to, it led me here. When I snuck on campus last 4th of July, I had no idea what the school had in store. And my daughter's a student here now, and I thought she was going to beat me here if I didn't get the job. And I think this is a great opportunity to show that what pathway that athletics can be for a university. I want to be that. I want to be the thing you invest in that gets the return on that investment that helps us be the outlier in what's going on in higher education.
That's awesome, DeWayne. You know, when you talk about this philosophy of dreaming big here at DePaul, my excitement just builds. And I'm curious where that mindset came from for you. Was that something that your parents talked to you about? Where did it come from? And any more details on how you see it becoming a concrete reality here at DePaul? I love the dream big mindset.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of it really helped. I mean, it started a lot in my upbringing. You know, I didn't let my surroundings dictate my future. You know, I grew up mainly in a single parent home. My mom was a juvenile detention officer, so that pretty much kept me on the straight and narrow path from day one. But, you know, I saw a lot of my friends making the wrong moves and mistakes. And I'm a firm example of how academics can lead you to different avenues. And because I was really good at school, I was able to go to school outside of my district. I started playing baseball, which is more of an outlier. And I never thought about whether I was going to college or what I was going to do. I wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. And, you know, although those things didn't happen for me, for those that don't know, I had, you know, problems with my asthma that stopped me from playing sports. But because I had done the work on the academic side, it wasn't going to prevent me from having a career or finishing college or having a scholarship. And that's an important lesson that I can tell for our students is that you can't put all your eggs in that athletic basket. But I think the dream big mentality in its purest form really came in my time at Kentucky. You know, one of the most dynamic coaches, Hall of Famer John Calipari, was the coach that I had to work with from the media communication side and then as the administrator for his sport before I left. And the most value I could bring to him, who's an idea person, he's a marketing major, was I needed to be a step or two in front of him. I needed to bring things to the table that might have been his ideas publicly, but maybe the things that I've been working on behind the scenes to really add value. And one of the things I learned from Cal was the same things that I brought up in my upbringing was to dream of beyond your surroundings. And that dream big mentality is what I saw that we can encompass at DePaul. We can be the best athletic program in the Big East Conference. We can dream and actually have a championship culture where every sport is no longer looking at making the postseason as our ceiling, but now our floor. That's the thing that we want to look across the board of my 10 head coaches and my 15 sports, where you're wondering, like, why isn't this team in the postseason? We have the tools and everything to grow to be at the highest level, you know? And we have 5 guiding principles that are going to allow us to get there. We've got a senior staff leadership that is focused and committed to getting these things done. And we have the staff and coaches and personnel in place. And we have the community and the university that can help us sell the best parts about what athletics can provide. I'm not the type of person that's reaching my hand out about, hey, here's what I need all the time. And, we all can spend. But I want to be the type of person is that, yeah, I have needs, but here's what I'm going to do. And I just need your help. But I also want to be asked for athletics to be a caveat for the successes for our entire university. So whether that's time given, a platform, the external outreach opportunities that we can provide, or even my dream is to at some point donate back to the school. When we get things going in this revenue engine and we provide what we can, I want to come out there with that big check myself and give back to something that can make our university more proud. And those are the things and steps that I feel. So there's no ceiling of what I'm thinking we can go. And that's the one reason if you come to Chicago, that's the one reason you be at a Big East school. That's the one reason you come to DePaul University, because your dreams not only have no limits, but they can actually become a reality. And I'm looking forward to that every day.
Sounds awesome to me, DeWayne. Holy smokes. And by the way, what position did you play when you were playing baseball?
I was a first baseman. I can still pick it pretty good now. And I can hit pretty good too, as you would think of being a first baseman.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh. Righty or lefty?
Right-handed. Righty.
Nice. Well, DeWayne, what a year to start any new job, much less the athletic director at DePaul University. Boy, did you ever get tested right out of the gate, coming in the middle of a pandemic and all the uncertainty. Tell us a little bit about your first 10 months at DePaul.
Well, I will say this: the first day is not how you dream about it when you're going to walk in the office for the first time. I've never been an athletic director before. I don't have anything to compare it to, but I assume it didn't go as it normally would, because when I walked in, the office was pretty much vacated because of COVID restrictions. But luckily I was staying close by. I live in Lincoln Park, about a half mile away. And so I don't know if it's for my sanity, but I walk in to work every day. And I needed to be in that office. I needed to be around those students, even if it was just to get a glimpse at them with their mask on, getting ready to go into the weight room. I needed that motivation. But honestly, it gave me a little bit of a honeymoon. Starting out in September, when school's already started by the time I got to campus on September 14th, it gave me a chance to kind of get to know people. In the virtual world that we live in, and things like we're doing right now will be a byproduct of what we do in the future to some extent. And it allowed me to meet a lot of people in a short period of time. It allowed me to put a strategic plan in place and the time to do so. And I now feel like that we have a connected vision with our athletic department leaders and staff, and a plan to put things in perspective. But I think the first thing is that you're right. That year, one of our operating principles, the first thing on our list is health and safety. So I really had to dial in on COVID protocols, and that was a good thing that I had those experiences at Kentucky, being a football school, and that being a byproduct of what I had gone through all summer is putting plans in place to play in the fall. We didn't have fall sports here because the Big East fall sports were suspended. And so gave us a chance to bring some level of experience and even some expertise from different people, colleagues across the country, to what our protocols were in place. And just to make sure that we, one, didn't become a strain on the university financially through all those testing procedures and protocols, but also to make sure that, our young people got a chance to compete in their sports. And so, Rich, this is one thing I'll be able to take with me. Hopefully I never have to repeat it, but I'm the first and hopefully the last athletic director at DePaul where every sport's competing in the winter quarter. And so that was a heck of a challenge in the first year, between strength and conditioning, sports medicine, practice opportunities, the games, and being able to get through that. I was very proud of our young people because we set records. We won some Big East championships in that situation that probably will never be repeated. And so it's been I will always remember this year because it was my first, but it's going to teach us so much about ourselves that we're a lot more capable than we probably ever thought we were. But I'm really excited about the opportunity to be able to see people face to face, to get our fans and our community back in our buildings, around our students, out to Wintrust Arena. We're moving our women's basketball team fully to Wintrust Arena as well. We've hired a new men's basketball coach in Tony Stubblefield that I'm extremely excited about. We're finishing up our roster right now and the schedule for the upcoming season. And he's a hard worker, a grinder, and exactly what we needed here to help us get ourselves out of this hole so we can start enjoying some of those successes and get in front of each other and start cheering about it. And having Coach Bruno out there at Wintrust as well, the program's had such success that it deserved to be on the biggest stage that we could put it on. And we're actually hiring a women's soccer coach right now, and so I'll have another new head coach for one of our 10 coaches. And we're really excited. We're adding some staff changes, some more direct diversity, equity, and inclusion specialists to be more intentional about that going forward. And I think athletics has a uniqueness to be a big platform for that. A person that's going to be directly overseeing our merchandise and licensing. I know I've heard from a lot of our colleagues and staff, faculty, alums about they can't buy DePaul gear. We're going to fix that. One, it's going to be a revenue source for us. Two, and we're going to be dynamic in that. It needs to be a focal point of why you want to come here, why you want to cheer us on. And so we're going to relate to that as well. And we're going to continue to invest in our academics and our compliance. And we've got a lot to get moving. And I think part of that is, how do we get real ROI back for our university? And that's the role we play in athletics. Why have athletics if you're not going to be dynamic and could be a true front porch to attract more prospective students to your school? And it's time for us to step up to the plate and play our role. And my staff and I, we're looking forward to that.
Gosh, I love it, DeWayne. It's so exciting. I'm going to give you a little bit of a break now. We're going to show a video. As you and everyone on this Zoom knows, we have a proud tradition of excellence in many sports. And you mentioned it, Doug Bruno and women's basketball is certainly one of them. So let's hear from DePaul women's basketball standout Sarah Kustok about what being at DePaul and playing for a legend like Doug Bruno meant to her.
Hey everyone, my name is Sarah Kustok. I was a member of the DePaul women's basketball team from 2000 to 2004. I received my bachelor's in communication, my master's in corporate multicultural communication, and I cannot say enough about what attending DePaul University and playing for the Blue Demons meant to me in the years I was a student athlete and in the many years to follow to this day still. It's the people, the administration, the professors, the, of course, coaches, and Doug Bruno is a legend in his own right in the world of women's college basketball. But to us, he was someone who was instrumental in helping us to become the young women that we were and that we continue to strive to be today. It was on the basketball court. It was the push to be competitive in the classroom, the emphasis on education, and above all else, the people that we were and how we gave back to the community. And my teammates are still some of my best friends today. And those in the campus, whether it's in the Loop or Lincoln Park, you name it, every time I go back to DePaul, I feel like I'm coming back home. So to all of you who have been so supportive in giving and caring, especially in this time of which the pandemic has affected everyone and impacted everyone in a variety of ways, but in particular, the students know how much you are appreciated, know how much your give back and support lends an amount of encouragement and motivation for the ways in which these student athletes can still continue to strive and overcome some of the challenge that they're facing. So from all of us in the Blue Demon and the DePaul family, please know how much we appreciate you. We send our gratitude. Stay safe and stay healthy.
Oh, that was great. Thanks, Thad, for playing that. You know, at the beginning of the pandemic, DePaul knew we had to do something. We had to do something bold. So we launched this Now We Must campaign for students. And in the midst of all the economic uncertainty of COVID-19, we had the most successful year by far in DePaul's fundraising year in DePaul's history. And it's just amazing. It's just stunning. So thank you to all of you who participated in that. And we beget people like Sarah, just confident, smart, high achieving, personable, just such a privilege to be a part of it. So DeWayne, I'm going to hand it back over to you in a second for a very special guest interview. You know, I don't know if I mentioned this to you, but I'm a weekend warrior basketball player, but I'm old and I'm slow. But back in the day, I was young and slow. But I always wished I could be a point guard, the speed, the agility, the playmaking ability, but it wasn't to be for me. But it's so darn exciting to watch. And that's why it's so fun for me to hand it off to you right now to interview DePaul graduate and NBA legend Mark Aguirre. So you can take it from here, DeWayne.
Thanks, Rich. This is an honor for me as well. You know, Mark was one of the first people I got a chance to meet with, especially for all the alums in person. And I think we talked for about 3 hours that first night. If you remember, Mark, we looked up and we're like, we gotta go. We had so much to talk about and so much to get done. But I think the biggest thing is that, you know, whether I was reading about it or talking to others or spending that time with Mark the very first time, what I saw was his passion, his love for his university, and the steps we need to take to get back to enjoying those times and the congregating of getting together at basketball games and having a fun time again. And, you know, he hangs from the rafters in Wintrust Arena, former National Player of the Year. And I know you probably heard me, Mark, talking about I didn't even mention to you, I watched that YouTube game. Hey, you're still getting buckets. I think you're a sophomore then. You're a sophomore then. So, but welcome as always. And, you know, basically, how's it going?
It's going well, you know, and I thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate the passion that everyone shows for DePaul University. You know, while you were talking, you know, I never mentioned this to you, but coming from I'm from the west side of Chicago, and at that point, DePaul University wasn't DePaul University at that point. It was a good school, but it didn't have the national acclaim that we ended up with. But tell you a story is that I've always won. I don't really know how to lose. I visited with Ray Meyer to take a visit and talk to him. And one thing that was amazing, and you actually kind of echoed that same thing. And after we talked that evening, it was amazing how it was kind of like deja vu. And the fact that Ray Meyer was talking about going to the Final Four and winning a national championship, even when we weren't that. And my passion was, I don't know how to think anything other than winning it all. I don't know how you think any other way. I just wasn't built that way. And to meet you the first night, and everybody says it, but you said it and then followed it up with things that you wanted to do in order to get there. So, you know, I just like to say to you that was different to me. That was totally different to me. And from point of, you know, being in your corner and backing you, that was, I think I lost it. That was a winner for me, you know, and being in the city of Chicago, my passion is in Chicago. It has never wavered. And my passion is with DePaul. It has never wavered. You know, I'm just glad that you guys have, you know, asked me to be a part and asked me to, you know, come in and you know, do what it takes in order to let fans know that, you know, we're putting our money where our mouth, you know, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We're trying to make it what it needs to be and then have a plan in order to do it, not just say it, but have a plan in order to do it. And thinking big is the only way I know. And I'm happy that it's your way to go toward, you know, building our university back to what it should be.
Well, Mark, you're one of our most loyal supporters. You've been a great supporter of mine in my short period of time here. But, many on this webinar probably cheered you on in Alumni Hall, and, maybe they even cheered against you, when you were with the Pistons. But,
Right, right.
but thinking about just DePaul, why don't you share a little bit with one of your favorite memories at DePaul?
Well, I think, all the great games and the things were good, but what stands out to me is the fact that the building and supported the passion that was around DePaul. It was a passion in Chicago. It was we were all linked together, meaning that Coach Meyer went out and spoke to various groups inside of Chicago on a daily basis, and then he told me, "You got to come with me." And he dragged me along, and I was able to view it, directly and see how passionate people were about DePaul University. And that was, to me, one of the highlights. Going to the Final Four was great, but the process of getting to that, it was like kind of a storybook land. And can you make it to the, and those are the things, the little blue demon room we had, and just basically, being the very first basketball team to play on a nationally telecast. Well, we had WGN, but ESPN, and all those things were stepping stones to an incredible stint at DePaul University. And our fans, our alumni, our university, our deans, everybody was connected, so I don't know if anybody else ever had that experience, but that experience was unbelievable, being a student and athletic and a student athlete at DePaul University. It was beyond incredible.
You're right. And really, our 10 head coaches, are truly at the center of, the starting blocks of dreaming big and what that means. And we've had some time in a short period of time to talk to all our students, our staff, our coaches about what that means to them. And it's amazing what I had to kind of push some of them to dream a little bigger. I don't think I need my locker room renovated. No, think I want something bigger than that. And I think that's the thing that I've been trying to instill, that concept. And I think it's really helping. I'd rather you give me some list and it's like, woo, okay, I got my work cut out for me. And you made a great point. When you're dreaming about championships, the pathway to that is a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
And I think that's the thing that, I'm sure that affected and instilled with you in that conversation with Ray Meyer. But, maybe follow up on that, talk about Coach Meyer and his impact on you and your team, and not just that original conversation that got you to come to DePaul.
Well, I think one thing, Ray Meyer was true to the game, and more than that, he was true to the community, and that part, I really want us to embrace, especially as not just you, DeWayne. I understand what you had to do, but all the athletes there, all the basketball players, the coaches, everybody, to embrace the community, meaning that, you have to go out and communicate with the community. They have to see you. They have to be able to understand that you are a guy of my community, and that part is what Ray Meyer had naturally. Naturally, everybody knew him. We used to tell Coach to slow down. You're always slow down, man. And he was like, listen, this is my responsibility to Chicago. I am at this platform and I have to help, all the other people and organizations if I can. And that particular way he did that had everybody embracing Chicago. He was doing it when we were, just beginning when the game, then when we became national, on the national stage, he was also doing it. And that when people saw DePaul as being a genuine friend of Chicago, and I think that, the way you're looking at it and the way you're trying to build it and the things that you've included in your plan, kind of deja vu to me, meaning that we have to embrace all of these other communities. We have to embrace them. We have to embrace, and figure out, how do we become, how do we have a relationship? What do we need to do? Can we do? We may not be able to do it, but we are here to, actually be accessible to your particular, issues and things. And that's what built the relationship with DePaul in Chicago. We as players went out all the time. We went out all the time. They knew our schedule. They knew what we were doing, when we were doing it, and like, look, you need this time in order to visit, one of our groups, that support us. And we knew them because they were in the stands. So I just like the way you're talking about getting back to a real relationship with Chicago, and once you do that, you get everything. Everybody wants to be a part of you. Everybody knows you're genuine. Everybody knows that, you're a part of our fabric. And I just want DePaul to be that again, which helps everything. I think we rose in attendance like humongously. It was gigantic the way we rose in attendance. And it just helps everybody when you had a relationship. It really helps everybody.
I think, I alluded to our first conversation, and for those of you on the webinar, Mark and I probably talked about all kinds of different ideas, and I think we were bouncing all kinds of things off each other, and a lot of them we shared. But I think the one thing that, if you could share a little bit, Mark, is, what do you see your role in conjunction with athletics and DePaul University and helping, in particular, specifically Blue Demon men's basketball getting back to its right spot, and not just our community here in Chicago, but nationally, from that mindset of being back to that blue blood program we once were?
Well, I think, I'll have to, really get in a good relationship with the staff, and you and I have already established a great relationship, and we talk, all the time, and we talk about, things that you need to talk about. And I think the biggest thing is that to let the parents and the coaches and the everybody that's associated with the program on what it is that you want to achieve as a basketball player, and I think a lot of time we don't express the other things that would help that athlete, meaning that athlete, and my sister's phone's going off, I don't know, but and instill that in the athlete, because a lot of times we lose the communication war, meaning that we compare ourselves to other universities, but DePaul and Chicago has some unique things, and then the players that are playing now are great players, but they want to excel also. So let's talk about excelling. In the city of Chicago, when you have the biggest media market other than New York and LA, if I'm correct, you're going to be seen. You're in the Big East. You're on a platform that you're going to succeed at, and you have the opportunity to be able to show all those talents and be in this city. So to show them what Chicago offers, not just DePaul University, but what it offers outside of DePaul University on all those things. We have a huge opportunities for all the kids that come to Chicago. And I think, we should highlight those a little bit more, and be able to show the kid that, we're a university, but we got a lot to offer here in Chicago.
I know when you and I sat down and had dinner with Coach Stubblefield,
yeah.
When we talked about some of the things, reiterating what we had talked about, the two of us. And I know when we talked after that dinner, the first thing he said is, Mark gets it. That you understand it. And it was very refreshing to know, like, he didn't have to go through every little detail, because he knew you got the little things that have to happen to lead to it. And I think that's why I was drawn to Tony, because he is a relationship person. And I knew, just like our conversations that we had from day one, that it's going to take the relationship building to build us to be this type of program, to have to lay the foundation for us to reach our successes. And I think that's the one thing that has probably been underrated about the community here, is that people are now reaching out. They want to be a part of something big. They want to be on the ground floor. They want to buy the stock low because they see where it can go. And I think that's the thing that's resonated. But I want to thank. Go ahead.
Well, one thing you said is that it's the relationship. It's absolutely the relationship, and I think that what Tony has done, because he's been a masterful recruiter. There's no question about he's done that. He's been a masterful recruiter. So that's the tough part of it, being the recruiter. And now, if we do the job correctly and we do the things that we need to do, you see that there are kids that were at Chicago and are now looking to come back to DePaul. That lets you know you still have juice. So let's not wait for that. And with Coach Stubblefield's relationship, he just got a magic thing about where he does it. We'll get those kids early. That relationship will get those kids early. And I think that we lost that in understanding how important it is in order for not just Chicago, for all the schools to know who you are and what you're about, And I think a lot of universities, especially at Kentucky, I know Coach Cal, I know him well, extremely well. And what he has is he really understands how to communicate to different athletes that he's recruiting, and they understand him and they have a relationship with him and they know what to expect from him. And I think we lost that. And Coach Stubblefield has had that because he's a masterful recruiter. And with our support, I think that we'll have a lot more kids believing in what we're going to do here at DePaul University.
Perfect. I agree. Mark, I want to thank you for being part of today's Cortelyou Heritage Society Luncheon. This has been great. It's always good to catch up. It means a lot to have a true ambassador like yourself, always willing to dream big with us. And do you have any final words for our guests on the webinar?
No, we've been living through, some dark days, but I think lighter days are coming. And we all are passionate about DePaul University. And I just hope that we don't do it alone, that we all get together and bring that passion in, meaning that everybody that's on this call, Zoom call, personally, I'd like to meet you. I think you guys can make that happen. I'd like to share some things with you. I'd like to, converse with you. I don't care where it is, at your home, at your, your office, wherever it is, I think going through DePaul University and just getting a message to me, because I want to share what I feel. And I would like for them to let me know how they feel, because that's important also. And then, kind of build this relationship together and be as one as we go out and do, because we got recruits out there that you might say hello to, and you might be the one that gets the guy to the university. I don't know, because everybody recruited me when I was at Westinghouse. It was bus drivers to, taxi drivers to, the guy that was the maintenance in the air conditioning. He's like, look, you got to go to DePaul. So, I like to spread that word throughout the city that, hey, we're for you. I would like for that to happen. Yeah.
Well, thank you. We're going to make the steps happen. Thank you again for coming on.
Hey, my pleasure. And thank you guys. And like they say, go Blue Demons.
Amen to that. Mark, thank you so much. Can't tell you how much we appreciate your love and passion for the university and DePaul Athletics. It's just fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. DeWayne, Thad has been monitoring the question and answer chat. We thought maybe we'd get a few questions from the crowd. Thad, can you jump in with a couple of those questions?
Yeah. Jim Wicklander is more of a comment, but we'll turn it into a question. Jim says he's glad we're welcoming the former players who are going to help us move forward because they make a huge difference. Can you share a little bit about what we're doing with our former basketball players to make this happen, DeWayne and Mark?
Well, I'll speak first. One of the things that, as part of that, when reaching out to Mark and others, is really trying to connect to our alumni. In particular, men's basketball, we've had a few Zooms that Mark has been helpful with as far as getting people to come on them. I know that first one we had, if that could have been open to the public, that was a who's who in DePaul basketball history on that one. I mean, we had everybody you could think of were probably on there, and but that just shows you that group wants to be connected back, and we've got to do a better job. Not saying we did a bad job, but just we got to do better to making them feel connected. That you're always welcome here, and being more intentional about bringing them together. A lot of them, the one thing I learned from it is that some of our younger alums had never even met some of the veteran alums. And so how do we accomplish that? And so one of the things we're working on is having a big alumni weekend, hopefully starting next summer. And then we get to the next basketball season in 23-24, we'll be celebrating 100 years of basketball for DePaul. And so those are two big events in the next coming years. But leading up to that, we're going to be more intentional about connecting our alums to their school and getting them together. And the good thing about the pandemic and Zoom is that we've learned some ways to do it along the way, and not just the one annual event where you get to see each other. Some of these mini reunions can allow us to get contact information, have people reach out to each other, get to know each other. So when we get actually back in town in Chicago, it's like you get to see everybody's families now. It's more of an extension from it. And I think that's something that we will continue. We did some of the alumni huddles for every sport, and that's something that we will continue to do because it's been successful. But now that we can actually get out and travel and see each other, I can't wait to get everybody together. So we will continue to be intentional on that, doing more things than we probably ever done before, because it's so helpful for the charge that we're trying to accomplish here. So we'll be a byproduct of all our campus-wide events, but we'll be more intentional on some athletics, event-oriented things, because we have to work around some of the sports schedules of some of our alums that are involved in their sports still. And so I think that gives us a great opportunity. But thanks for the comment, Wick.
Yeah. We have another question. You guys have talked a little bit through it already about DePaul's always been and always will be a DePaul institution. And years ago, we did such a great job effectively recruiting. You talked a little bit about this. Were there any special initiatives that Coach Stubbs has put in place already, or DeWayne, things you've lined up already to help really recapture Chicago?
I think the first thing is that in talking to Coach Stubblefield, I was very intentional in the recruitment process about what we needed. And he has hit the ground running. After his press conference, he didn't even go home to Oregon. I finally sent him home to get his stuff packed up so he could finally move. Like 2 weekends ago, we finally went home, where he had to hit the ground running and given an opportunity, where to meet our coaches in the community, AAU coaches, high school coaches, to let them know that I'm here, who I am as a person. A lot of individuals said that nobody's even been in my gym, in a long time. And so those are things that can't be the pathway to us being successful. Don't show up on my court when I've got the best player in the state. Have that relationship always. And that way you have a chance of being, this is your home school. And so we needed to develop, it's all about those relationships. We have a lot of friend raising to do. And I think people are welcoming. I think part of it, the pandemic has helped open arms where people are just willing to meet anybody right now. So it's a great time for us to restart those relationships. I'm planning on doing some touring myself around the community with the principals of all these schools, getting into the community. I need to give back to that too, in my position. And we're doing some direct community involvement with our Chicago public schools. We were doing a scholarship in consultation with the Jesse White Tumblers on working on a scholarship to bring, a CPS student that's a tumbler to DePaul to work within our department. We got to get more connected to this community. And we're going to be very intentional about that going forward. And I think all those things help. Most of these kids, woke up, they went to Ray Meyer camp. That was their first introduction to DePaul. And so we just announced men's basketball camp today, just for, I said, we need, even if we got to do just a couple of camps, we're doing some for some younger kids, 8th grade and earlier, just get some on the docket for this year, because we haven't had camp here in 2 or 3 years either. So just another vehicle of how do we get young people to start dreaming about DePaul before they're even thinking about what sport they're going to play or anything else, dreaming about college being the 13th grade. not even thinking about whether I'm going to college or not, but already thinking about I'm going to DePaul when I grow up. That's the first step.
That's great, DeWayne. I know, Mark, you and I have talked about this and these relationships and these connections. Anything else you want us to add to that?
Well, I think I love the fact that we're now actually thinking that way, and then have an action plan to be able to really go out and execute what we're planning on doing. I just like that, the message is clear. There's no ambiguity. It's not, clouded in any manner. That these are some of the foundational things that we have to do in order to reconnect ourselves and let people know that, we're not just DePaul University. We're concerned about the things that affect you also, and that we want to be there to support you, be able to, raise your different concerns in your community as a university, which a university should do, so, and those things tie us close and puts us in a different position than other universities. And like when I was coming up, that was a game changer when, DePaul did those things. When I traveled with Ray Meyer to see him at, different fundraisers and different things that help the community. It didn't necessarily relate right back to DePaul, but he showed his concern just about Chicago, and that goes a long way. And I think, for us to position ourselves to think about strengthening our community, and eventually it will turn back to us, it's only the right way to go.
That is great. We have another question for you, DeWayne, that's very current. With the new legislation coming from the Supreme Court and the NCAA regarding individual student athletes gaining more and more autonomy for their personal earnings and accolades, how do you see this impacting DePaul's student athlete experience moving forward?
I think it's a plus for us. I mean, Mark alluded to it earlier. We're the third largest media market in the country. And this is a great time for us, post-pandemic. We've took a step ahead. If you haven't seen our announcement about our legacy branding partnership with Influencer, along with the College of Communication and our business school. Thank you to Dean Donnelly and Dean Murphy for your assistance with that to get that up and running, and I can't wait to see where that goes. I'm dreaming big about that too, right? Obviously, we're talking about something we put together in the summer to talk about the partnership that we're going to have, continuing partnerships that we keep having on our campus. But the future, we might have curriculum and classes based on it and how we grow. But that's what comes with having relationships. If our business school and our College of Communication and Athletics can partner on this, what's the next partnership? And we've done that with our CDM department. We've created actually a class for this fall where some of our students will be producing documentaries like 30 for 30s on our athletics teams. Those are things that help both. And I feel very connected in a short period of time. I want our young people to feel very connected, where the students share this stage across the campus. But I think this is a golden opportunity for DePaul athletics. Chicago is a huge asset, and now that trickles down to our students, and now our student athletes for the first time. And so we're going to make sure they're educated, they understand what this means, they have the tools in place to make the right decisions, so that there will be a plus for us and them going forward.
Thank you again, DeWayne. Before I wrap up, would you like to leave our guests with some final words about DePaul University and DePaul Athletics?
I think the biggest thing is that I want to thank each and every one of you, from our faculty and our staff, our alums, our supporters. What you have done and what you continue to do and will do is so important to the young people. We wouldn't have jobs if it wasn't for these young people that want to venture out and learn more and grow to be better individuals. So when they join the rest of us in the real world, they're giving back to make this happen for other people. They're leaving that ladder for somebody else to climb, and you're a part of that. You're rungs on that ladder that allow our young people to strive for their goals. I want you to think about it when you leave this, is to dream big with us. There's opportunities that we haven't thought about that we'd like to hear from you about, but there might be things that we have in place that we're trying to accomplish that we need your help too. And it might be you connecting us with someone else hasn't already given, that doesn't already have something in place. That's where dreams become a reality. When we're connected to each other, it's just like the deans I talked about with Dean Murphy and Donnelly coming together and, hey, we're going to get this done. That was a commitment we made. But there's a lot of partnerships for people that are connected about one thing, and that's DePaul University and the love for this school, this community, these students. And I think we can all dream big together. And I can't wait to have a whole bunch of fun with you, to see everybody in person. If you ever see me out in public, don't hesitate to come up to me. I'm always welcoming. I'm always willing to catch up with a fellow Blue Demon. And so thank you for your time today. And just like Mark said, go Blue Demons.
Just to piggyback on that, I want to thank everyone on this call for what you do for DePaul. You know, I have this great privilege of meeting with you, and so many of you tell me this story, and I never get tired of it, that DePaul transformed your life, that your parents didn't get an opportunity to go to college, but you did, and it absolutely transformed your life. And I can't tell you how good it feels for me to look you right back in the eye and say, we're still doing that same thing for kids today. And so thank you to all the leaders on this call, all the deans, for DeWayne and Mark. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. It's such a privilege for me to be a part of the mission of this great university with all of you on this call. So thank you. And as always, go Blue Demons.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Appreciate it.